Thank you, everybody, for joining the Bassfug Podcast today. We have a very special guest all the way from Berlin, Germany, Tidus, the real name, David Moitza. Thank you so much for your time, David. Totally appreciate it. In this Netflix world, it's hard to get someone's attention for 30 minutes. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Will. I really appreciate to be here, and I feel very flattered.
Well, let's just go right to the meat and potatoes here. Your Instagram is insane. You've been traveling all over, and all over most of Asia, but you're also a DJ. You're hosting. You had a podcast, the Travel Cast, if I remember correctly, and I'm just so curious how. DJs will travel and they'll play, but it seems like you were DJing while you were traveling. Travel first, DJ second. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So why did you start traveling in the first place? And can you just tell us about that journey first?
Of course. Why that actually happened? It had a reason. I used to live from 2015 to 16 in New York, and that was like the first time that I really was abroad, living somewhere else. And this was also the place where I decided to actually start DJing. Then later on, when I came back to Berlin. However, when I came back and I was here again for 1.5 years, I was in my job, and I think that I just got a travel bug or something like that. Like that experience to be abroad and be don't have that daily lifestyle, and having that experience just I don't know. I just felt so comfortable and was so life changing for me that I really wanted it back. And after 1.5 years and living here in Berlin again, I got really tired and bored. And I decided, I was 29, that I really want to do my work and holiday in Australia. And the work and holiday is only possible doing until 30. So I told myself, okay, now it's time. I will definitely do that.
Could you explain to the listeners what a working holiday is? I've never heard of that before.
Work and holiday is something that you are able to live abroad for 1 year. At the moment, it's available in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, some countries in Asia, and Europe as well. I mean, for me, not Europe, but for maybe people abroad. And you are able to work there and get an income. So, but you can only stay with one employer for 6 months. So you have to move around. That's why travel and work, that you can afford to travel with your earnings. That is a work and holiday visa.
Cool.
Yeah.
So sorry to continue. Yeah.
Yeah. And I decided doing that, and I moved to Brisbane in Australia, and I was working there for 6 months, and the work and holiday in Australia was more like secondary. Like my primary target was traveling through entire Asia, and I didn't want to miss the DJing, because during that time I just DJed maybe for 9 months or something, and I didn't want to put my gear in the basement and just wait until I come back, because then I might don't want to do it again or something, So I said, no, I just take my gear with me, and I try to DJ while I'm traveling. Then maybe I just ask around, go to clubs or bars or something, and just introduce myself, And while I was in Australia, I just did my monthly sets regularly. And I said, okay, while I'm traveling and while I'm on the road, I will record every month one mix, but I do kind of a podcast then for myself, and I call it Travel Cast. And from I came back in February this year, back to Berlin. And from April 2019 until February, I was recording every month, like a mix, from the place I was. So that's why I put under my podcasts always like from Melbourne, from I don't know, from Luang Prabang or something like that. You know, that was the whole idea about it. You know.
Were you playing live when you were doing these mixes, or were these like in hostels
like,
or?
Yeah. So the way I've done it, that was actually, I was really surprised that this worked out so well. So every time when I was going to a place, I was researching before in the internet, what kind of nightclubs are there or bars. And I was writing emails like maybe like 2 weeks before I got there already, introduced myself, sent my resident advisor link, SoundCloud, Facebook, everything. And I did it also to like big clubs with, who book like big DJs, big names or something, you know, but I just didn't care. I just thought, okay, I just do it. And while I was there, I was also going to like bars or something who play electronic music. You know, resident advisor helped me a lot because that's a platform just for electronic music. And if a bar or a place is listed there, they will definitely focus more on electronic music. So I was going to them. I was just dropped off a card. I was introducing myself. Most of the time it didn't work out, but at some places in Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, it does work out. And I played also for a hostel on a Koh Tao in Thailand. I kind of had an agreement while I was there to play 3 times. I mean, I was 1 week there, and she gave me like a 50% discount on everything. And while I was, but I had to play at least 3 times while I was there. And at the same time, I was going around asking bars if I can play there, and it worked out as well. And they gave me some money, like cash in hand, you know, just to afford it.
I just want to sort of add a comment there. You're talking about how you're going out and you're sending all these emails and you're using resident advisor, and you're making these approaches. I think a lot of people, they don't understand that even in the marketing business, you know, for every 700 impressions of an ad, you're only going to get 1 sale from the 700, you know? And I think a lot of people, they wouldn't have that tenacity that you're telling us about. They'll just give up. They'll send 2 emails and they'll be like, oh, well, no one wants to book me. I guess the whole thing's canceled, you know? And I think what's a good takeaway from your story is that you were consistent sending out emails and consistently trying to get yourself out there, you know? Exactly, I just wanted to add that. Please continue.
Yeah. So, I was in a Koh Tao, I think. Yeah. So, and I played also there, twice in a beach bar, because like the first time they just liked me so much, and the music I played there, that they asked me if I can come back, you know, and they gave me some small money, you know, just like, cause they appreciated it, you know, like Asia doesn't have the resources to pay me like 500 euros or something, you know. This is impossible. Besides, you are like a really big name, but just that I had the opportunity to go there and play while I was traveling. I mean, I was carrying like a 15 kilos bag with me, you know, over 6 months through entire Asia, and just walking around and taking buses and trains and everything, you know. I was even once in Malaysia in a jungle, in a national park, and on a small boat, and I was just like, I had all my gear with me, and people were looking at me, why are you traveling with so much stuff? you know.
Let's talk about it a little bit of that. I want to go deeper into the jungles and the boat stories here. But okay, you're traveling around with 15 kilo bag. I know
it was more.
Oh, really? Okay. I know guys that have traveled, in Canada and they've gotten their gear stolen. So I don't want to preface this as, oh, you're in a faraway land. Stuff gets stolen no matter where you are, I'm wondering, did you have any problems with safety? Did you have any problems with carrying your gear around with you on this voyage? Or
actually not at all. Like I had like a 120-liter backpack with me. It was like 20 kilos. Then 2 small bags with my laptop in it, and my 15 kilos big bag with my DJ gear. I had probably 40 kilos on me with like travel equipment, and nothing happened. Like no one stole anything from me in like hostels that was under my bed. And no one really cared about it. So I got really lucky.
Did you have your things like backed up, like on like a cloud service or something like Dropbox or anything, or just in case something happened, or?
No.
Oh, wow.
I knew that this is kind of scary that I had that I decided doing it like that. And I was thinking about it like a couple of times. I should actually upload all my music to like Dropbox or something that it not get lost. But like the Wi-Fi in Asia isn't always the best if you are like in really small places. So I didn't do it and just trusted in people that they are nice.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I want to believe that, but at the same time, it's like if you're carrying like a $500 controller,
Exactly. I think that I just got lucky, to be honest.
Did you meet other traveling DJs?
No, not at all. And every person I talked to and I told them that I have my DJ equipment with me and everything, they were looking at me, why are you doing this to yourself? And if that, it's my hobby. I just love doing it. And that's why I go through all of this,
Yeah. Can you talk about the technical difficulties of being abroad with your gear? You're talking about, apparently, like you were saying, the internet is just horrible in some places,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'm sure if you're DJing in the middle of the jungle, you're probably not getting a good 5G signal.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, if I needed something like new music or something like that, I was always downloading it while I was in a big city. So because they have sometimes even faster internet connection than we have here in Germany,
or Canada.
But
Canada has like the slowest internet compared to, it's pathetic. Anyways,
then you haven't been to New Zealand. This is even worse.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was always doing that in like big cities, and then I was prepared. Usually when I download new music, I'm like okay for the next 2 months, and so I was doing fine. I didn't need to have always like the best internet connection for that.
When you're traveling, I know when I've stayed at hostels, you tend to meet people who are at the hostels as well. Would you invite them to your shows? Like, would you say, "Hey, I'm playing tonight. You should bring your friends"?
Yeah, kinda. I was then mostly talking about that. I remember one time I was in Laos in Vang Vieng, and that place is like famous for their parties. They are doing tubing and at the same time they are partying while they tubing. So there's a bar and they throw a rope.
What do you mean by tubing? Like an air
tubing,
tube on the water?
No, like tubing. Exactly. It's like a big tube and you sit in there and you just float down the river.
Okay.
and they have that there. And while I was traveling, I did volunteering in one of those companies, and I was actually, I was motivating people to drink, to party, and
oh wow,
and organized, like, got all the tubes on the car and picked up all the travelers and was going there. And the cool thing was that while I was working there, I was meeting so many people there. And they told me that every Friday is like the biggest techno party or something like that. And they call it jungle party. And they said, yeah, just go to that guy.
A literal jungle, not jungle music, but like
not really. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like a little bit in the jungle.
Yeah.
And it was only like techno music and a little bit Goa style, but okay. I don't play Goa, but I play techno then, you know. And I was going there and was introducing myself, and he just invited me straight to for some beers and told me tomorrow we are going there and we just try your equipment and you can see the place and everything. And at the same week, I was playing that Friday in front of 200 people, then on the biggest techno party in town, you know. And but the reason why this happened actually was only because I was volunteering and I was meeting all those people.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking about it. I was talking what I'm doing, that I'm traveling and have my DJ equipment with me and all of it. And locals helped me because they saw me not just as a traveler. I was working with them. So they took me more serious, you know. So
a lot of people don't realize the power of volunteering, you know, like people talk about they're meeting crappy relationships on Tinder and stuff. And it's like, oh, go volunteer. You'll meet tons of people. And the type of people that volunteer are probably outgoing, you know, people, right?
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
I'm curious because you're talking about meeting up with people. What was the language barrier like? Did you have to learn new languages quick, or did you just speak English, or how did that go?
Just English, because I was mostly in like tourist places. Once in a while, I was going somewhere else as well, what was not so touristy, but I had some people with me. That was actually also a reason, because of the DJing, I wanted to be where tourists are, because especially European people, and they are very into electronic music. So I thought, okay, like the biggest chance to play somewhere is in those places. And in those places, even like the local people, they speak like a basic English. So I was able to talk to them, you know. So then that was actually pretty easy. And while I was going from country to country, I was just learning on YouTube like the basic words, you know, and was writing it down on my phone and like in the notes, and that I could like order something or say yes, no, and count some numbers when I want to bargain or something like that, you know. So that actually worked out really well. I was really scared in the beginning when I thought about it, but in the end, my experience when I was abroad and when I was traveling, everything was so much easier than here back in Germany.
Really? Why?
Seriously.
Can you talk about that a bit? Because for a guy like me to, you know, or anybody who just hasn't really traveled, I you know, quitting your job, selling all your stuff, going abroad, it seems like what are you going to do when you get there? How are you going to eat? How are you going to live? Right?
Yeah. I know, and I had that fear in the
like, is it going to be safe
as well?
You know, is it going to be safe?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
what if I get sick? What if I eat the wrong thing? You know,
that actually happened to me. So I was going through all those things, you know. But I don't know.
Talk to us about this. Try to. Let's say you're talking to a complete travel beginner.
Yeah.
Let's expand on this. Tell me all about it, including the food poisoning.
I was also scared. I had fear that all these things happened to me, you know, but while I was like living in New York, and I had to manage all my life there, and I couldn't really speak English while I was moving, when I moved to New York, and I managed everything. So I lost kind of fear, you know, already. And I knew from the beginning, when I'm doing this, everything will be fine in the end, you know. And I don't know, everything felt into my hands. If I needed to do like if I needed like a tax number in Australia, I just Googled it. Oh, it's that easy. And 1 hour later, it was all done, you know. And the same while I was traveling, when I thought, okay, I need to go to, I don't know, for example, from somewhere in Malaysia to Thailand, and I was going always by land crossing, you know, not even taking a flight. So I had to look up like buses from point A to point B but point B is in a different country, and I needed to figure that out. But in the end, every place I stayed, they had some kind of flyers from some local bus companies, and I just booked it there. Yeah. Everything was so easy and so much easier than in Germany with all those bureaucracy and everything. I don't know. Just everything felt into my hands. Yeah. You know? So I can tell everyone who maybe has the desire doing it, but it's just, but fear holds himself back. Just do it. You know, it's just, it was so rewarding when I came back, and I really thought, damn, I don't have any dreams anymore, because everything because everything I wanted to do, I did in those 7 months.
You know, it's funny you say that. I don't travel a lot, but my father used to be a pilot, and it's a long story, but in his 20s, he went to 17 countries. He traveled all over the place. He lived everywhere. And growing up, he would tell me all the time. But it's what you just told me is very similar. At some point after he did the traveling, he just was like, wow, you know, like that was it. You know, like he really felt fulfilled from his adventures, you know?
And this was exactly like the same feeling what I had when I came back. I just had to think about what do I want to do next in my life. I mean, obviously, I need to go to work and get income to live. But what kind of goal do I have to accomplish next? And even right now, I don't have any idea, to be honest.
Well, I think you'll find it. You seem, if you had the ingenuity to figure out how to do all this traveling on your own, which is Google, I think you'll figure out what you're going to do next. And especially now with quarantine, I mean, what else can you do, right?
Exactly. I see what I forgot to mention as well. That maybe is like a nice story, like, you know, while I was living in Australia, I met my wife. So during that time, it was just my girlfriend, but now it's my wife, and we live together now here in Germany, you know. And we were also traveling for 2 months together while I was in Asia. So she came visiting me in Asia, and we were traveling. And when I came back to Germany, I was dealing with all the paperwork that I get married. So I actually literally left Germany with just my few bags on me, and I came back as a married man.
Oh wow!
That is actually like I like later when I came back, and I was like going through all my adventures and experiences, and I was just thinking, damn, and I'm also back, and I'm married now. Like my life changed completely.
Just because you decide to leave your apartment, put down the video games, exactly. And Yeah.
going out of my comfort zone, like dealing with people, dealing with all of this. And in the end, it was such a blast, And
before you started traveling, I know you touched on it a little bit in the beginning of the interview, but what was your life like? Was it like, like I said, were you just like playing Xbox and just like kind of,
yeah, kind of, yeah, basically.
Because I want someone who's listening to this. I want this interview. I want at least one listener to have their life changed by what you're about to say. You know? Can you?
So like.
Tell us how pathetic you were before you started traveling or whatever, right?
Actually, I was like really close-minded. Like I grew up in a small village. People don't really travel like long distances. They maybe go to the next sea, to the Baltic Sea, which is like 3 hours away. And usually I just played video games and was like drinking with friends and stuff like that.
What were you playing, by the way?
Xbox, more Xbox and a PlayStation.
What game?
Actually, more shooters. I think back in the day, Call of Duty. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just needed to know who the culprit was. So continue.
Yeah. So but I got bored of that lifestyle, and I always wanted to live in a big city. So this was like the first step for me to go from a small village to a city. And when I was in Berlin, then I was going into that whole nightlife scene in Berlin. If someone knows, is like the biggest. It's like that city with the biggest nightlife for electronic music. I would say like almost like in the whole world, like besides maybe London. London is also really good, but Berlin comes right after that. So here I really gained like a lot of interest in the electronic music, but I was never like interested like to DJ. That interest came when I was in New York and I was like doing like, and I was partying there, and my interest got more and more and more. So friends told me, if you're so interested in it, then just start DJing. And but I mean, like it takes some time to really decide doing something. You don't have any idea how to do this, and you have to spend like $500 or something like that, and you think like, oh my god, so much money. Yeah. It's a new console, or like games, something like that.
Yeah.
But when I came back to Berlin, then I really like bought it, and I had no idea what all those knobs on that controller is doing, and I taught myself, just YouTube videos and how to do all these things.
Wow.
And for me personally, if you really want to be successful in something and you want to create something, like the best what you can do is, and if you really put your effort yourself into something and you try to learn it, because later on, if you achieve something, it just makes you so much more happier.
It opens so many doors,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like just right now, I'm running like a new podcast series on my SoundCloud channel, which calls Electrics Podcast, and I write like a lot of international artists from Israel, Japan, from Spain, from Italy, from Canada as well, from the USA.
Yeah.
If they are interested in like recording a mix for me, and I shared with all my partners I met through my entire time on SoundCloud. So we share like the stuff for each other to have a wider audience, that they listen to it, and that actually really helps. And I met so many people already.
And when COVID is over, you guys will be lending each other's couches to sleep on when you're doing your international tours and stuff,
Yeah, maybe. I never know. You know, but this is what I mean when we start talking about it. That I came from a small village, only playing video games.
Yeah.
And I might play now video games as well once in a while, but my really primary focus is on music, DJing, interacting with international people, and doing all of this. So from a tiny village to a city, then abroad to America, came back, doing all the travels, meeting people over there also in the music industry, and and now I'm like, I think for all of the things I achieved, no one helped me. I've done all of this by myself.
Yeah.
Without any help from a more successful person. Like today in the music industry, it is so normal that you have kind of like a mentor who helps you to gain popularity, to helps you to learn how to DJ or music production, but I have done all of this by myself.
Well, you met people along the way that have
exactly. And they maybe
give you opportunities. Yeah,
exactly. But everything I've done,
you took the initiative.
Exactly.
Yeah, no one woke you up and pulled you out of bed and said, "Hey, here's your visa. Go to Vietnam or something." That's exactly. How did you get over the closed-mindedness? Like, because I know people that are closed-minded, and sometimes I go, man, they're so talented, but if they just if they just fucking opened up a little bit and just drop the ego, they would go so far in life. How did you get over that? How did you sort of? I'm not sure what you consider closed-minded, but how did you sort of kill the ego?
I think that it was a process. I was reading books and watching YouTube videos about books? People.
What was one that affected you the most?
For example, one book which affected me a lot. I don't know how it calls in English though. It's like about a cafe, and it's like the cafe on the edge of the world or something like that.
Okay, what is it in German? What's the title in German?
Das Café am Rande der Welt.
Okay, cool. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my ninjas will Google it and figure it out. Yeah.
So that was actually just about someone who always worked, and wanted to get out of his little bubble and just experience something new in his life, and just focus, the main focus is about your life and not about your work or something like that. And those books really affected me in my decisions, and also some YouTube people who already were really popular in the traveling around, doing adventurous stuff. I was watching something like that as well. And that helped me with tiny steps to came out of my little bubble and to kick my ass and said, if I want to do something, I should do it now, and not just with 40. And then I think, but now it's too late.
Yeah. Well, even if you're 40, I don't think it's too late, or is
no,
it?
No, not at all. Not at all. But you know what I mean. When
I
you're
understand
too old
what
and
you're
you
saying.
think, then you maybe have family or something, and you can't do this anymore. And many people say, I will do all of this when I'm retired.
When my 3 cats are dead.
Or something like that, But in the end, then you are maybe old, and your interests are completely different, and you won't do it anymore, and then you've never done it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The regret is the thing that scares the hell out of me. Yeah. I reflect all the time, and I go, when I'm older, what am I going to regret? And I think I don't know if this is healthy or not, but a lot of the decisions in my life, that's how I plan, But this is so inspirational so far. I mean, this is really, really good. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I kind of want to talk about just the actual traveling itself, the act of it, like, because you're saying you're riding a lot of buses. Like, do you get sick on the buses? Like, do you get sick on the boats? Are you like in the jungle and you get bit by a weird bug and then you're just like, I'm dying? Like, what, like, what's that like?
I mean, I got lucky in those between when I've done it. I mean, only one story happened to me that someone stole money out of my backpack while I was sleeping, and I needed that for my Vietnam visa. And I was already with a bus on the border between Laos and Vietnam, and I needed those. I don't know. I think it was like $35 or something for the visa, and they were gone. But luckily, like a British guy was there, and he helped me out. He borrowed me money, and I paid him back later than in the city. But overall,
you must have been panicking.
In that moment, I was a bit nervous, because I was already like my visa was already stamped in Laos, and I was in between countries, so I couldn't go back to Laos anymore, because even there I needed to pay $30 to enter, but I couldn't enter Vietnam either. So I was in between. I thought, oh shit, what should I do? But I was like already fine with that British guy, and he really helped me out, and that was actually like, I got lucky there. But in the end, I had no bug bites or something like that. I got really lucky, even with the transportation. Of course, some cab driver maybe ripped me off, but I kind of knew that. And it's never like so much. They maybe rip you off like $10 or something. It's not like that.
And chances are they need it.
Yeah, exactly. And the only time when I was really like, oh God, I feel like that I'm so sick that I feel like that I'm dying, was when I had food poisoning on Bali. Uh-oh. And I was eating some kind of like chicken soup or something. But I was thinking about why that happens, and I figured that could only be that chicken soup I had. And I think during the night I woke up and it was cold, I was sweating, and
not good.
And then I was vomiting. Everything I felt so bad. I was so paralyzed.
Were you in a hostel, or where were you sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in a hostel. I was so paralyzed that even walking and talking was really hard for me.
Really?
I was really seriously, literally three days in bed until I was able to like normally walk and normally go somewhere to eat something. And
did the hostel accommodate that, or were they like, who is this guy?
I just extended my stay, and tried with some medicine, just that the fever comes down and everything. But but after 3 days, it was on a good level. But it took really 10 days. And a visit at the doctor in Kuala Lumpur when I was flying over to Malaysia with antibiotics. I was really completely fine. But doctor's visits in Asia are a bit different. So I was going there and I only paid $25 and I got all of what I needed.
Amazing.
And next day I was fine again.
Why are they different?
I mean, different in like the costs.
Okay, yeah.
So I think if you don't have insurance and you go in Canada somewhere to a doctor,
you're screwed.
Exactly. They will tell you, so antibiotics and the doctor visits are like $1,000.
Yeah.
In Asia, 25.
If in Canada, if you go to another province, sometimes it's weird. Yeah. Was it hard talking to the doctor in English, or did he speak English?
No, not at all. Because Malaysia was back in the day British settlement as well, so everyone there speaks English.
Okay.
Really well, actually. I was really surprised. Yeah, and that was the most horrific story actually that it happened to me in Bali.
So if you speak English, you shouldn't be worried.
Not at all.
Okay.
Maybe Vietnam. Vietnam is a bit difficult, and maybe Korea and Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, but the rest I traveled, it was actually fine.
So you survived the food poisoning. Man, that must be the most scariest shit you could possibly imagine. No pun intended. But like, you know, you're like, you're in the middle of this place you don't know, right? You got all this gear on you. You're in a hostel. Those hostels, I don't know if it was a nice one or a bad one, but they're sometimes a little crammed together. You know, there's 10 people in a room sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and the beds aren't so great a lot of the times. That's not a good position to be in.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So you get me.
Yeah. Have you
in
ever,
that moment?
Have you ever thought of? I know you had the travel cast, but have you ever thought of doing maybe like a ebook or a blog or something?
The thing is, I was writing down everything I did while I was traveling. So I have everything on paper for 1.5 years almost. And I was thinking about writing like a book or something, but the motivation wasn't big enough until yet. Because if I look on Amazon or something like that, there are like tons of books from people who done more crazy shit. You know, they were traveling for 6 years and lived somewhere in a cave or something like that. You know, and then I come up with my travel story. It is probably just one story of many.
But so, you were a DJ though. You could change it. You could be like how to travel as a DJ. That'll work.
That is actually true. Because that is really unique, like in my case.
And so let's talk about the equipment that you were bringing. What did you have for equipment? What were the specs? Let's get the nerdy stuff out of here. Let's tell me what software you're using. What mixer what did you have with you? Did you bring your monitors? What kind of headphones were you using? Or
like headphones, just the normal Sony ones. I think MDR90 or something. What I use for the DJing, and I kept it very simple while I was traveling. While I was traveling, I just had my Native Instruments Tractor S4 MK2 controller, so like a 4-channel controller, and had my MacBook Pro. And played with Tractor Pro.
All right, yeah. Did you have any problems with the MacBook while you're traveling? Like, would the screen go out? Did the keys break or anything, or was it overheating?
Not at all. It was fine. I was affording it while I was working in Australia, and I was pretty fine with that. Everything worked out. Now, of course, while I'm back and I'm now looking into music production, since March, I upgraded, have a small home studio now.
Okay.
But really small.
Let's I want to ask one question and then let's talk about the home studio part.
Yeah.
I'll go into a gas station, or if I'm at the airport or something, I always see the power converters. I'm wondering, are those safe? Because I don't know if I don't know if I trust my $2,000 laptop with a $5 power converter, you know, that they're selling in the lobby of a hotel. When you were traveling, did you have to change? I don't know anything about international electricity, but I imagine the plugs in Vietnam are different than the plugs in Berlin. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. But it was actually very easy. I just ordered something on Amazon, like for, I don't know, 12 different countries or something like that. Okay. I was reading just online, like the countries I go, what kind of plugins they have, and I had everything with me. I even had my extensions with me for the socket, you know, that cause like I needed like one plug-in for my laptop, one for my controller, and one for my Bluetooth speaker. Because while I was traveling and I was recording my mixes, I wanted to hear what I'm mixing. Yeah. So I just had a bigger Bluetooth speaker with me that I at least hear what comes out of my controller.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
we're kind of getting towards the end of the interview, but I have so many questions that I still want to ask you. So if I could borrow 10 more minutes of your time here.
Of course, no worries.
I'm curious about, because earlier you were talking, there's a lot of questions I want to ask you, actually. My notepad is just like covered with stuff, so I'm just going to go to the juiciest stuff. You were talking about motivating people to drink and party earlier when you were volunteering.
Exactly. Yeah.
I usually ask people that play live, how do they motivate a crowd? When you're DJing, how do you read a crowd? I'm wondering, do the two sort of mix together when you were trying to get people to party? And also, what did you do to get people to party? Would you go up to them and say, "Hey, drink this beer," or like how did you inspire people to get going?
I mean, while I was doing that, I usually. So you have to imagine like that those on that tubing, what I talked about earlier, those people, that was on a river and it was rainy season. So like the water was already much higher, and they had a little, like where you can jump in the water, a little tower where you can jump into the water.
Oh, cool.
And I was always motivating them with a little tournament, like who can do like the craziest flips and something like that, and the winner gets a free bucket of
Corona,
like, margarita, or Cuba Libre or something like that, and then and I motivated them with that, and beer pong, a lot of beer pong. I couldn't see it anymore, to be honest. After that, I thought like, oh God, beer pong. Yeah.
So is it when you're playing live, you have to work the crowd too a little bit, what do you just like? What is your method for doing that? And how do you choose what songs you're playing? Do you have your set pre-planned, or how do you vibe? Like, how do you figure out what the vibe is?
Usually I have my set pre-planned, and I knew that the crowd there is more mainstream. So they are not like techno lovers like here in Berlin, who really go into like a techno club and wanna experience like a really like rave,
Yeah.
So I know those people, like probably like the majority of those people listen to hip hop or something like that. So I was thinking, everyone loves house, and tech house is also like the genre I like to play once in a while. So I just think, okay, at the beginning, it's just like a little bit more like easygoing, people just getting drinks and stuff. And I will play melodic techno, and in the middle, I am playing then tech house. And this actually, like, people got crazy then, like, because tech house is like nice housey, has a nice groove, and they really loved it. And especially if you are dealing with like more mainstream people who like music like that was actually very easy to motivate them to party. And later on, because I knew that in the evening they want to do more Goa music and music like that, so I played them more really like real techno.
Yeah.
And then my set was over in like, I think 1.5 hours or something when I played on that party. Yeah.
And it's mostly, is it other travelers that are at these shows, or is it like locals?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not no locals at all. And when locals have their own place, really? they going. Those parties, they are all set up in those tourist places only for the travelers.
Okay.
You will only see local people maybe working, but not partying there. And if you see maybe girls or something, they are mostly prostitutes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Kind of, I guess, on that note or whatever, what is it like, the laws and the cultures? Do they kind of clash? Is there like, because I remember I read a book about Thailand, and there was a guy traveling, and he put his money in his shoe, and he got in a lot of trouble because I think it was one of the politicians' faces was on the money, and it was an act of disrespect to put your money so close to your feet. That's something I would never have known unless someone told me. I was wondering if you ran into any sort of culture shocks like that or anything like that.
No, actually not. I mean, I know from Asian countries, when you go into temple, that you are not allowed to go in a temple with shoes. But you kind of see that, when you go into the temple and you see tons of shoes in front of the temple, you maybe guess, okay, I should maybe not walk in with my shoes right now.
Yeah.
And I actually just know that for Buddhists, and most of Southeast Asia, they are Buddhist, like touching the head is kind of rude. So
really,
so I never done that. I mean, why should I walk over to a random person and touch
someone else's head? I thought you meant
else's head.
I thought you meant touching your own head, like if you scratched your hair or something.
No, like that, and showing your feet to someone when you're in the temple and you sit down, that you're not like being completely relaxed, and you just like spread your legs to the front and think like, because that is also some kind of rude, but in the end, no problems at all.
Let's talk about David, once again, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. Let's sort of wrap up the interview talking about your new journey into production. Let's talk about what you have right now for producing, and let's talk about the hurdles that you're facing with learning how to produce. Because I think that'd be very interesting for other people out there that are just starting to get into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I got my MacBook, I really got that with the idea to later on, when I'm back, to go into music production, and I focused on Ableton, because most tutorials online are with Ableton. It's the best software to if you want to go into electronic music, at least for when I compared all those softwares available. And now when I came back, I was doing like created myself like a little studio. I bought Adam Audio T5V speakers.
Those are great.
They are really awesome. I really love them. Like a little Akai APC Key 25 MIDI controller and a Focusrite
sound card,
Scarlett Solo sound card.
Yeah.
And just recently, I just bought like a music production table. So what is mostly focused on, where you can set up like your speakers, like your monitors and your laptop and everything.
Where did you find that? I've been using folding tables from Walmart that are like $40 for the last 2 years. Where did you find that?
I mean, I was Googling that, okay, and I found a website.
Oh, you could order it.
Exactly. But now's the thing. At the moment, I'm working at a secondhand warehouse.
Okay.
So I'm like in the back and getting all that stuff.
That's cool.
What comes from the city and those things. And there was one, like, we just got boxes, and my colleague was like, unwrap them and was setting everything up, so build it up. And I was like walking by and was saying, damn, I'm actually looking for a table like this. And I got this table for like $39.
Oh wow.
That table usually costs like 200 plus.
Yeah.
And because like secondhand stuff, and it actually wasn't secondhand because it was still wrapped in all the packages.
Yeah.
Because someone didn't want to have it. But I got it for like $39. It was like awesome, and now I got it here and I set it up like in my bedroom. Now I'm a real bedroom producer.
Excellent.
Like how like people like to say it when you do it at home.
Have you found it? Have you found it challenging? Starting
totally.
Or okay,
it's totally. It's like every time when I look for new music and I see all those professional productions, and I think, and now I get a better understanding how they did things because of all the videos I watched, and now I understand Ableton completely to know how to do some things.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not so skilled into sound design yet, so I usually look for nice presets, and then I practice like playing notes and all of it. But my tracks I made so far are not so professional to like spread it with the world, And I always think like, when is the best time? Sometimes I feel if I'm producing, I could take my laptop and just throw it against the wall because I just, it is so frustrating. It's so frustrating to go into that. And it's really difficult to keep your track, especially later on when I'm doing like the arrangement to like, keep your track like, interesting, listen to, and that's a really big challenge for me. But I know music production is nothing like DJing, what you can teach yourself in like 1 month or something. It is really something. It's a process where you go through for years and years and years.
I think you have an advantage though, because you played in front of a lot of people, and usually when people start producing, they never really played in front of people, and you understand that there has to be a vibe, and you have a better visualization of quality control. I think sometimes when people first start producing, maybe they do think that oh yeah, this is good and I don't need to change. But I think maybe the fact that you're looking at it from the lens of someone who's played all these shows all abroad,
exactly,
you have a more methodical point of view of it. But don't let good be the enemy of perfect. Like at the same time, you got to let it. You got to release it at some time.
Exactly. Of course. Right now, I'm on a new project, and it seems fine so far. I will see. I will start soon with the arrangement, and I hope that that maybe is something I can share. I don't know yet. I see how I feel. When
you release your first album, let us know. You can come on the show and promote it. Yeah,
I would be very happy about that.
David, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. This has just been amazing stories.
Thank you very much for having me.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about before we go, or where can people reach you online? What are your socials?
My socials are on Facebook. So just if you look for something, I think if you look for Techno Tidus, you will find my Facebook. Otherwise, SoundCloud is Tidus, Tidus, and
Instagram.
Instagram is it Tidus Official, like Tidus_official. And then you can just like contact me or something like that.
Excellent. We'll put the links in the show notes too. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Wonderful.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thank you so much, David. I totally appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Will. I really appreciate it as well. And yeah, wish you good luck with the show and everything.
Thanks. We're working hard. So take care, okay. David. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
That was another episode of the Bassfug Podcast. Totally appreciate that you're listening to this. Hope you're checking out the other ones. You don't want to miss any of the juicy information and cool stories that our guests seem to bring to the table. I'm serious though. We have some of the best guests. I don't know how I get them, but you're going to want to go check those out. Make sure you're subscribed because you'll miss all these great stories and music production tips. Check us out at www.bassfug.com. There's links to all of our social media, where the podcast is located, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it. Just go to www.bassfug.com bassfug.com. And thanks for everybody who's been liking and subscribing and commenting so far. It really means a lot. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
This program was brought to you by the superwill64.com Entertainment Network. For more great shows, podcasts, and music, please visit superwill64.com.